So with the release of the Borderlands 3 Takedown at Maliwan Black Site and Mayhem Mode 4, quite a few new legendary weapons were added to the game. Some will drop from specific enemies in the main game and some will drop from the new raid. So in this video we're going to be covering 10 of these new weapons, where you can find them and what they do. So starting off the video today, we're going to be taking a look at the Vosk's Death Grip. Now this is a legendary shotgun that is manufactured by Maliwan and has a very unique legendary effect. The gun basically comes in two firing modes, one of which fires a disc that creates a singularity that kind of pulls enemies towards it, and the other one, which is actually really good and is known as Vosk's Grasp, essentially fires a volley of projectiles that creates beams of the weapon's elements. Now these beams are stationary, so it does work best against less mobile boss fights and enemies, and again you can kind of pull enemies towards that using the singularity. And it's actually a very good weapon in terms of damage output. Of course it is very situational. It will work best on, again, those less mobile boss fights such as Captain Traunt and any of the boss fights that you can get really close with. But as you can see from the gameplay, the thing does a great amount of damage on Mayhem 3. Now, on Mayhem 4, it's not the best. Of course, most of the gameplay shown in the video will be on Mayhem 3, with some parts being on Mayhem 4 as well. But overall, it's a pretty damn good weapon. Now the level 50 stats for this will be shown on screen. It has decent stats across the board, also consumes 6 ammo per shot, and has boost to weapon damage and weapon accuracy. It also has the red text, "A good death is its own reward," which is possibly a reference to a quote from Man of Steel, but I'm unsure about that.
A good death is its own reward.
Now to obtain the weapon, it can actually drop from Troy Calypso normally on Mayhem Mode 4. It can also drop from the Valkyrie Squad and Wotan from the Maliwan Takedown on Mayhem 4 as well. So it is a bit of a grind to obtain this, but I can tell you that this thing is a pretty damn good weapon. So if you want to obtain it, that is how you can get it. Coming up next, we have the Tankman Shield. The Tankman Shield is a legendary sniper rifle that is manufactured by Hyperion, and the legendary effect for this one is that every kill you get in the current magazine you're using will add damage to the next magazine of the weapon. Now this is actually quite interesting because the sniper rifle is decent overall, but if you're running a Moe's ammo regen build on this, you can stack this damage very quickly, and that's where it becomes the most powerful. Now outside of Moe's, I wouldn't say it's that viable, especially compared to things like the Lyuda, but generally speaking, it is a decent sniper rifle. Now this can come in multiple elements, and again, as usual, the level 50 stats for this will be shown on screen. It does also have boosts to the critical hit damage, weapon shield capacity, and reload speed, and also has the red text, "You ever seen this dude tank anything ever?" which I think could possibly be a reference to Tankman. Now to obtain this weapon, you need to be on Mayhem 4, and it has a higher chance of dropping from Captain Traunt on Athena's, and also the Valkyrie Squad from the Maliwan Takedown event. Overall, it's a decent sniper rifle, and definitely one for you collectors out there. Especially now that the bank space has finally been upgraded, you can actually collect weapons now. Another new legendary weapon you can obtain is known as the Good Juju. Now the Good Juju is a legendary assault rifle that is manufactured by Dahl, and what's cool about this is that the name of the weapon and its red flavor text are both references to the exotic pulse rifle from Destiny known as the Bad Juju. Taking a look at the weapon view here, you can see the red text for this is "kinda sorta wants to end all existence," which again is a reference to the Bad Juju and kind of like a play on words in a fun manner from the Bad Juju's flavor text, which is, "If you believe your weapon wants to end all existence, then so it will." And this even goes as far as the effects of both weapons too, because the Good Juju has a very similar effect to the Bad Juju, in which when you get kills with the weapon, it will automatically refill the magazine. Now, in addition to this, it does have a decent stats across the board. It has a very good magazine size, a very good accuracy, and has a really good reload speed. It also offers boosts to weapon damage, critical hit damage, and reload speed as well. It also can come in multiple different elements as well, and even with all of the good benefits of the weapon, it really isn't that good compared to some of the other assault rifles in the game. Now, if you want to obtain the weapon, it can be obtained from the Rampager, and just for reference, if for whatever reason you need it, the location of that will be shown on screen. However, it can also drop from the Valkyrie Squad or Wotan the Invincible on Mayhem 4 as well. Overall, while it isn't the best weapon in the game, it's still a pretty cool weapon in regards to the references, and is definitely one for you collectors out there. Coming up next, we have the legendary TDO pistol known as the Serve A2S Execute Plus. Now, this weapon is kind of weird. It's extremely powerful on Mayhem 3, and as far as its legendary effects go, I'm still kind of uncertain, but as far as I know, when you fully shoot the weapon and do not try to throw it, it is a TDO pistol, so most people like to throw them and kind of see what they do. But if you empty out the magazine and let the weapon throw naturally, it will kind of stick to the enemy that you throw it at. The enemy then absorbs it, and then you do more damage to that enemy, kind of debuffs them, I guess. Now, if you do choose to throw the weapon before the clip is empty, it will just randomly explode on contact and do very little damage. Another good thing about this is that it can come in multiple different elements, and when you throw the thing, it throws extremely fast. As always, the level 50 stats for this will be shown on screen. It has decent stats across the board and also offers boost to the reload speed. And as far as its red text goes, it states, Touch of Death requires mastery of combo strikes, which I believe, but don't quote me on this, is a reference to the Touch of Death spell from World of Warcraft. Now, to obtain this weapon, it drops from General Traunt, who can be located in this location on the planet of Necrotafeo. Alternatively, I have seen people getting this to drop from Wotan the Invincible, and like some of the other weapons on this list, you do need to be on Mayhem 4 in order to obtain this. In my opinion, this is one of the better SMGs in the game. Now, for Mayhem 4, currently I run a flak build, and some of my go-to weapons are the Jacob's Maggie pistol and the Becker. It won't replace weapons like that, but for Mayhem 3, this thing seriously shreds, and it's definitely one to obtain if you're looking for a good submachine gun. Coming up next, we have a weapon that I have no idea how to pronounce, but I think it's Zitsev's Eruption. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But this is basically a legendary assault rifle that is manufactured by Children of the Vault. Now, I just want to say this off the bat, this is a really badass looking weapon. In terms of its legendary effect, when the gun overheats, it essentially shoots out these elemental homing projectiles that have the same element that the gun comes in. And just to mention, this gun can come in multiple different elements. Now, I had this one dropped from a friend, and you can obtain this from the Valkyrie Squad, Wotan the Invincible, or the Raging Titan from the Slaughter Shaft on Mayhem Mode 4. So in my opinion, if you can handle Mayhem Mode 4 whilst running through the Maliwan Black site, you know, that would be your best way of obtaining it, as you have twice the opportunity there to go ahead and get this. Now, the weapon view will be shown on screen, and statistically, it's a pretty damn good assault rifle. It does quite a lot of damage on Mayhem Mode 3. It's not something I would personally use on Mayhem 4, but nevertheless, it is a really good assault rifle. Now, its red text is Pain and Misery erupt in the void. Again, I do think that's a reference to World of Warcraft, but I'm unsure. And then the final thing to mention is it offers boost to critical hit damage, and that's pretty much it. It's a pretty good one, and one of the new legendaries you can obtain in Borderlands 3. Krader's EMP5 is another one of the new legendaries. This is a Dahl submachine gun, and this can drop from Agonizer 9000, Valkyrie Squad, or Wotan the Invincible. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is a Mayhem 4 weapon. However, I have seen some people claiming that they got it on Mayhem Mode 3. I'm unsure on how true they are though, but yeah, I have no idea if you have to be on Mayhem 4 to get this, or if you can get it on Mayhem Mode 3. Either way, that is where it does drop. The weapon cannot come in an element, and its legendary effect, as far as I'm aware, is that when you jump, it's similar to the Nimble Jack. The weapon has highly increased accuracy. So if you're jumping around, you pretty much have pinpoint accuracy and can almost snipe enemies with it. And aside from that, it's kind of like any other Dahl SMG. It's, you know, quite powerful for the weapon it is, decent all-rounder. Definitely not something you're going to want to use in Mayhem Mode 4. And of course, as always, the level 50 stats will be shown on screen. It does have the red text, dust off the beta EMP5. Again, I have no idea what that reference is, but either way, another legendary you can obtain if you want to go ahead and get it. Up next, we have Kib's Worth, and this is a Maliwan submachine gun. And I have to say, this is one of the better guns from the new legendaries. It's actually pretty damn powerful. Now, the weapon itself can come in multiple different elements, and you can switch between 2 different elemental types on it. And the legendary effect that this weapon does have is fairly unique, as when you kill an enemy, they drop a red aura on the ground that you can stand in and it will heal you. Now, you can't just kill loads of enemies and keep making this happen. This is something that will happen every 10 seconds. So of course, if you kill 2 enemies within 10 seconds, 2 auras won't drop. Aside from that, the weapon view will be shown on screen. You can see the red text for this is stand in the effing circle. Again, no idea what that reference is. As many of you know, I do like to dive into the references as much as I possibly can. But for quite a few of these, I just have no idea. It also does shoot in a very sort of weird oscillating pattern that is very different to other submachine guns in the game. And it also offers boosts to splash damage, weapon charge speed, melee damage, and projectile speed. And the projectile speed here is one of the main ones because, again, this thing shoots fast and hits hard. Now, to obtain this, you do need to be on Mayhem 4. And as far as I know, the only way you can get this is by running the Maliwan Black site. Some people have said that they managed to get this from Wotan the Invincible. Some people said that they got it from the Valkyrie squad. My friend who dropped this weapon for me did get it from Wotan, so that's just worth mentioning there. And that's pretty much it for the weapon. It's a phenomenal SMG and definitely one that you guys will want to get your hands on from the new weapons. Up next, we have Juliet's Dazzle. Juliet's Dazzle is an assault rifle that is manufactured by Torg, and similar to the good Juju, the legendary effect for this is that when you kill an enemy, it will automatically refill the magazine. Now, in terms of elements, the only element I think this can come with is the cryo one, or it can come in a non-elemental version. And as far as assault rifles go, it's again a pretty decent gun. Not something you can really run on Mayhem Mode 4, but definitely a decent assault rifle that you can get your hands on. As always, the weapon view will be shown on screen. It does offer a pretty decent magazine size. It also offers boosts to weapon damage, reload speed, and splash damage radius as well. And also has the red text, lights up the world, in which again, I have no idea what this reference is. Another cool thing about this is the projectiles it shoots look pretty damn cool as well. And apart from that, if you want to obtain this, it has a chance of dropping from Aurelia or the Valkyrie squad. We managed to get this from Aurelia, but again, some people do claim to get this from the Valkyrie squad. And that's pretty much it for the weapon. Another awesome assault rifle you can get your hands on. Now, for the second last weapon of the video, we have the Moonfire Torg pistol. Now, this weapon can come in multiple different elements, and I believe this is actually a reference to Destiny again, specifically the exotic hand cannon known as the Hawk Moon from Destiny. And the main reasons behind that is, number one, the red text on the Moonfire literally states "Meet your destiny," and then number two is the legendary effect for this kind of works in a similar way. For the Moonhawk from Destiny, one of the bullets in the magazine would randomly have much higher damage. And for the Borderlands version, being the Moonfire, every third shot will be amped and you will get more than double the damage on that shot. So they both work in similar ways, both have moon in the name of the weapon, and it literally has "Meet your destiny." I mean, this has to be a reference to the Moonhawk. In terms of its stats, they will be shown on screen. Again, I don't really dive too deep into them because they're quite self-explanatory in terms of how it looks on paper, compared to how it works in game, of course, but overall, the weapon is actually pretty damn good. It does offer boosts to critical hit damage, weapon damage, and projectile speed. Again, I wouldn't use this over other pistols like the Maggie, but in general, it's a pretty damn good pistol. And now we move on to the final weapon. For the final weapon of the video, we have the Tiggs Boom Torg shotgun. Now, as far as I know, this weapon is kind of glitched right now. It's either that or people, including myself, just haven't figured out what causes the legendary effect to work on this gun. And essentially what the legendary effect supposedly does is, number one, these shots pierce enemies, and it's supposed to make meteors fall from the sky. Now, I have no idea what triggers the meteors to fall from the sky, because sometimes it will happen and sometimes it won't. You guys can see from the gameplay in the background, it's just kind of weird how it works. And even at that, the meteors don't really do that much damage. However, if you do get a cryo variant of this thing will freeze enemies really quickly. The weapon itself does consume 2 ammo per shot and also has the red text, a gaping hole in the sky, which I think is just a reference to how the gun works. If not, I'm unsure of what this actually references. Now, the only place I know where you can get this from, again, I did have a friend drop this for me. Some of the weapons I managed to obtain and some of them I've had my friends help me with. But as far as I know, you can get this from Wotan the Invincible. However, I don't believe you have to be on Mayhem 4. Again, some people are claiming that they managed to get this on Mayhem 3. And that's pretty much it for the video. I just wanted to give a bit of a quick overview of some of these weapons. It will have the shields and the class mods coming soon for you guys. I just need to obtain a few more of those before I can get that out. And as always, if you enjoyed the video today, be sure to leave a like down below. It's always greatly appreciated on the channel. Other than that, hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next video.